Okay. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Paragamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Sya Om Jnana Timaranda Shagana Jana Shalakya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gaurva Bhishtam Supurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanagam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Premna Vibija Pradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandavaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyambudim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shridaram Vanshakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Madhya Lila, chapter 10, the Lord's return to Jagannath Puri. Verse number 24. Emata Purushottama Basi Jatajan Prabhuke Milite Sabar Utkantitaman. That's all the residents of Jagannath Puri, which is also known as Purushottama, became anxious to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again. Thus all the residents of Jagannath Puri, which is also known as Purushottama, became anxious to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again. And they're all waiting for Mahaprabhu to return from South India. Sarvalokarut Kanta Jhabe Atyanta Varila Mahaprabhu Dakina Hoite Tabahi Aila. When all the residents of Jagannath Puri became extremely anxious to meet the Lord again, he returned from South India. Shunyanandita Hoila Sabakaraman Sabhyashe Sarvabhome Koila Nibedan. Hearing of the Lord's return, everyone became very happy, and they all went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and spoke to him as follows. Prabhura Sahita Ama Sabara Korahamilan Tomara Prasade Pai Prabhura Charan. Please arrange our meeting with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is only by your mercy that we can attain the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Bhattacharya Kohe Kali Kashi Mishra Gare Prabhu Jaibina Tahan Milaba Sabare. The Bhattacharya replied to the people, tomorrow the Lord will be at the house of Kashi Mishra. I shall arrange for you all to meet him. Aradin Mahaprabhu Bhattacharya Sange Jagannath Darshana Koila Maharange. The next day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived and went with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya with great enthusiasm to see the temple of Lord Jagannath. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived and went with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya with great enthusiasm to see the temple of Lord Jagannath. Mahaprasadiya Tahan Milila Sevakagan Mahaprabhu Sabakare Koila Alingan. All the servants of Lord Jagannath delivered remnants of the Lord's food to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In return, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them all. Darshana Kore Mahaprabhu Chalila Bahire Bhattacharya Anila Tare Kashi Mishra Gare. After seeing Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the temple. The Bhattacharya then took him to the house of Kashi Mishra. Kashi Mishra se parila prabhura charane griya sahita atma tare koila nivedane. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at his house, Kashi Mishra immediately fell down at his lotus feet and surrendered himself and all his possessions. Prabhu Chaturbhuja Murti Tare Dekaila Atmasat Koritare Alingana Koila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then showed Kashi Mishra his four-armed form. Then accepting him for his service, the Lord embraced him. Tabe Mahaprabhu Tahan Basila Asane Chodike Basila Nityanandadi Bhaktagane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next sat down at the place prepared for him, and all the devotees headed by Lord Nityananda Prabhu surrounded him. Suke hoila deki Prabhu Basara Samstan Jai Basaya Hoy Prabhu Sarva Samadan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy to see his residential quarters in which all his necessities were taken care of. Sarvabhauma Kohe Prabhu Jogya Tomara Basa Tumi Angi Kora Kora Kashi Mishra Asha. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, "This place is just befitting you. Please accept it. It is the hope of Kashi Mishra that you do. Prabhu Kohe Edeho Toma Sabakar Jetumi Kaha Se Samata Amar." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My body belongs to all of you. Therefore, I agree to whatever you say." Tabe Sarvabhauma Prabhu Dakina Parshvebasi Milaita Lagila Sab Purushottama Basi. After this, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, sitting at the right hand of the Lord, began to introduce all the inhabitants of Purushottama Jagannath Puri. Esab Lok Prabhu Baishe Nila Chale Utkantita Hayache Sabe Toma Milibare. The Bhattacharya said, "My dear Lord, all these people who are residents of Nilachana, Jagannath Puri, have been very anxious to meet you. Sri Shita Chataka Jaiche Kore Hahakar Taiche E Sab Sabe Kore Angikar." In your absence, all these people have been exactly like thirsty chatak birds, crying in disappointment. Please accept them. Jagannath Sevaka E Nama Janardan Anabasare Kore Prabhu Sri Anga Sevan. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya first introduced Janardan, saying, "Here is Janardan, servant of Lord Jagannath. He renders service to the Lord when it is time to renovate his transcendental body. He renders service to the Lord when it is time to nourish his transcendental body." That's what. During Anabasara, after the Snan Jatra ceremony, Lord Jagannath is absent from the temple for 15 days, so he can be renovated. Srila Govinda Maharaj called that nourished. This occurs annually. Janardan, who is here being introduced to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was rendering this service at the time. The renovation or the nourishment of Lord Jagannath is also known as Navayovana, which indicates that the Jagannath deity is returning to youth, to full youth, or how you wish to say it, is being restored to youth. This indicates that the Jagannath deity is being restored to youth. Krishnadas name Suvarna Betradari Shiki Mahiti Nam E Likana Dadikari. Krishnadas Nam E Suvarna Betradari Shikima Mahati Nam E Likana Adikari. Krishnadas Nam e Suvarna Betradari Shiki Mahati e Likana Adhikari. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued, this is Krishnadas who carries a golden cane, and here is Shiki Mahiti who is in charge of writing. The person in charge of writing is also called Dula Karana Para Prapta Karmachari. He is employed specifically to write a calendar called Matala Panji. Pradyumna Mishra Iha Vaishnava Pradhan Jagannathara Mahashoyara Iha Dashanam. This is Pradyumna Mishra, who is chief of all Vaishnavas. He is a great servitor of Jagannath, and his name is Das. In Orissa, most of the Brahmins have the title Das. Generally, it is understood that the word Das refers to those other than the Brahmins, but in Orissa, the Brahmins use the Das title. This is confirmed by Chuli Bhatta. Actually, everyone is Das because everyone is a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In that sense, the bona fide Brahmin has first claim to the name Das. Therefore, in this case, the designation Das is not incompatible. Murari Mahati Iha Shiki Mahati Rabai Tomaracharana Binu Ara Gatinai. This is Murari Mahiti, the brother of Shiki Mahiti. He has nothing other than your lotus feet. Chandaneshwara Simeshwara Murari Brahman Vishnudas Iha Jaya Tomaracharan. Here are Chandaneshwara, Simeshwara, Murari Brahman, and Vishnudas. They're all constantly engaged in meditating on your lotus feet. Praharaja Mahapatra Iha Mahamati Paramananda Mahapatra Ihara Samhati. This is Paramananda Praharaj, who is also known as Mahapatra. He is very, very intelligent. Praharaj is a designation given to Brahmins who represent the king when the throne is vacant. In Orissa, between the time of a king's death and the enthronement of another king, a representative must sit in the throne. This representative sit on the throne. This representative is called Prahararaj. The Prahararaj is generally selected from a family of priests close to the king. During the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Prahararaj was Paramananda Prahararaj. Esa Vaishnava e Ketrabhushan. Esa Vaishnava e Ketrara Bhushan. Ekanda Bhave Chinte Sabe Tomara Charan. All these pure devotees serve as ornaments to Jagannath Puri. They're always undeviatingly meditating upon your lotus feet. Tabe Sabe Bhume Pade Dandavadhaya Saba Alingila Prabhu Prashada Korea. After this introduction, everyone fell to the ground like rods. Being very merciful upon them all, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced each one of them. Hinakali Aila Tata Bhavananda Rai Chariputra Sangepade Mahaprabhu Pai. At this time, Bhavananda Rai appeared with 4 of his sons, and all of them fell down at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sarvabhauma Kohe E Rai Bhavananda Ihara Pratama Putra Rai Ramananda Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued, this is Bhavananda Rai, the father of Sri Ramananda Roy, who is his first son. Tabe Mahaprabhu tare koilalingan stuti kore kohe Ramananda Bibaran. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Bhavananda Roy and with great respect spoke of his son Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Hena Ratna Jahara Tanoi Tahara Mahima Loke Kahana Jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu honored Bhavananda Roy by saying, the glories of a person who has a jewel of a son like Ramananda Roy cannot be described within this mortal world. Sakat Pandu Tumi Tomara Patni Kunti Pancha Pandava Tomar Pancha Putra Mahamati. Your Maharaj Pandu himself and your wife is Kunti Devi. Herself. All your highly intellectual sons are representatives of the 5 Pandavas. Rayako he ami shudra vishayi adam tabu tumi sparsha el ishvara lakana. After hearing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's praise, Bhavananda Roy submitted, I'm a Shudra. I'm in the 4th class of the social order, and I engage in mundane affairs. Although I am very fallen, you have still touched me. This is proof that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nijagriha Vita Britya Pancha Putra Sane Atma Samarpilun Ami Tomara Charane. Appreciating Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's favor, Bhavananda Roy also said, along with my home, riches, servants, and 5 sons, I surrender myself at your lotus feet. Evaninath Rohibe Tomaracharane Jabije Agyataha Koribe Sebane. This son, Vaninath, will remain at your lotus feet to always immediately attend to your orders and serve you. This is Vaninath. Atmiya Jnane More Sankochana Koribe Je Jabe Ichatabe Se Agyadibe. My dear Lord, please consider me your relative. Do not hesitate to order whatever you desire at any time you desire it. Prabhu kohe e sankocha tumi nahapar, janme janme tumi amar, savam she kinkar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted Bhavananda Roy's offer, saying, I accept without hesitation, because you are not an outsider, birth after birth. You have been my servant along with your family members. Din Pancha Shata Bitare Ashibe Ramananda Tarasange Purnahabe Amarananda. Sri Ramananda Roy is coming within 5 to 7 days. As soon as he arrives, my desires will be fulfilled. I take great pleasure in his company. Etabole Prabhu Tare Koilalingan Taraputra Sab Shire Dorila Charan. Saying this, Mahaprabhu embraced Bhavananda Roy. The Lord then touched the heads of his sons with his lotus feet. Tabe Mahaprabhu Tare Gare Pataila Maninath Patanayake Nikate Rakila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then sent Bhavananda Roy back to his home, and he kept only Vaninath Patanayaka in his personal service. Bhattacharya Sab Loke Vidai Koraila Tabe Prabhu Kala Krishna Dase Bolaila. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then asked all the people to leave. Afterwards, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called for Kala Krishnadas, who had accompanied the Lord during his South India tour. Prabhu Kohe Bhattacharya Shunaha Ihara Charita Dakina Giyat Shila Iha Amara Sahita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Bhattacharya, just consider the character of this man who went with me to South India. Bharatari Kache Gela Amare Chadiya, Bharatari Hoite Ihare Anilun Udariya." He left my company to associate with the Bhattataris, but I rescued him from their company and brought him here. Ebiami ihana ani korilan vidai jahanicha jaha amasani nahi aradai. Now that I have brought him here, I am asking him to leave. Now he can go wherever he likes, for I am no longer responsible for him. Kala Krishnadas was influenced and allured by the Bhattataris, who enticed him with women. Maya is so strong that Kala Krishnadas left Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's company to join gypsy women. Even though a person may associate with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he can be allured by Maya and leave the Lord's company due to his slight independence. Only one who is overwhelmed by Maya can be so unfortunate as to leave Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's company. Yet unless one is very conscientious, the influence of Maya can drag one away, even though he be the personal assistant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what to speak of others? The Bhattataris used to increase their number by using women to allure outsiders. This is factual evidence showing that it is possible at any time to fall down from the Lord's association. One need only misuse one's little independence. Once fallen and separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead's association, one becomes a candidate for suffering in the material world. Although rejected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kala Krishnadas was given another chance, as the following verses relate. So when Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India, the Bhattataris, they're like tantric persons, or they follow the black magic, tantra, and they allured. And they're compared here to gypsies, the Bhattataris, and they lured Krishnadas, Mahaprabhu's servant, by sending women, with women. So, but Mahaprabhu rescued Krishnadas, and he dragged him away by his hair. So the Lord now says, now that I've returned to Jagannath Puri, I'm no longer responsible for him, and he should leave, at which point Ete Shuni Krishnadas Kandite Lagila Madhyana Korite Mahaprabhu Chaligela. Hearing the Lord reject him, Kala Krishnadas began to cry. However, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not caring for him, immediately left to take his noon lunch. Nityananda Jagannananda Makunda Damodar Charijani Jukti Tabe Korela Antar. After this, the other devotees, headed by Nityananda Prabhu, Jagannananda, Mukunda, and Damodar, began to consider a certain plan. Godadeshe Pataite Chahi Ekjan Aike Kohite Kohibe Jai Prabharagaman. The Lord's four devotees considered, we want a person to go to Bengal just to inform Sachimata about Mahaprabhu's arrival at Jagannath Puri. He's been gone a long time. We should notify them. Advaita Srivasadi Jata Bhaktagan Sabai Ashibe Shuni Prabhura Agaman. After hearing news of Mahaprabhu's arrival, devotees like Advaita and Srivas will certainly come to see him. E Krishnadase Diba Gode Bataya Etakohe Tare Rakilena Ashvasiya. Let us therefore send Krishnadas to Bengal. Saying this, they kept Krishnadas engaged in the service of the Lord and gave him assurance. Aradine Prabhustane Koila Nivedane Agyadeho Godadeshe Patai Ekjan. Aradine Prabhustane Koila Nivedan Agyadeho Godadeshe Patai Ekjan. The next day all the devotees asked Mahaprabhu, please give permission for a person to go to Bengal. Tomaradakina Gom Gaman Shuni Sache I Advaitadi Bhaktasab Ache Dukapai. Mother Sachi and all the devotees headed by Advaita Prabhu are all very unhappy due to not receiving news about your return from your South India tour. Egjan Jai Kahuk Shubha Samachar Prabhu Kohe Segora Je Icha Tomar. One person should go to Bengal and inform them about the auspicious news of your return to Jagannath Puri. Upon hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, do whatever you decide. Tabe se Krishnadase Gode Bataila Vaishnava Sabake Dite Mahaprasada Dila. In this way, Kala Krishnadas was sent to Bengal, and he was given sufficient quantities of Lord Jagannath's food remnants to distribute there. So once Srila Sridhar Maharshi commented that there was one person in Orissa I don't know if it was in Orissa, but there was, I believe it was, there one person that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur felt like that person had too much, let's say, local interest. He was from that area, and the person seemed too attached to that particular place. And other things happened, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was unhappy with that person and rejected him. But then Srila Saraswati Thakur said, now you must show him kindness to that person. And Srila Sridhar, his guru, Srila Saraswati Thakur, said, show kindness to that person. And Srila Guru Maharaj said, well, how would that be? Because you've already rejected him. And then Srila Saraswati Thakur said, just like when Krishnadas was rejected by Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu and the devotees, they did not reject him. They kept him engaged in service. They told Mahaprabhu somebody has to go to Bengal to inform Mother Sachi and all the devotees. And Mahaprabhu knew that they were referring to Krishnadas, but so he said, do whatever you like. Do whatever you like. So they sent Krishnadas. So Guru Maharaj mentioned, Srila Saraswati Thakur said, you must show him kindness, just like Nityananda Prabhu showed kindness to Krishnadas, even though he was rejected by Mahaprabhu. So you should do that with a devotee, even though Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very dissatisfied with him. And later that person could come back, but at that time he was rejected by Srila Saraswati Thakur, but still he told Guru Maharaj, you show him kindness, you give him some hope. So, Tabe Goda Deshi Aila Kala Krishnadas Navadipe Gelata Teha Sachi Ai Pasha. Thus Kala Krishnadas went to Bengal, and he first went to Navadip to see Mother Sachi. Mahaprasad diya tare koila namaskar. Dakina hoite aila Prabhu kohe samachar. Upon reaching Mother Sachi, Kala Krishnadas first offered his obeisances and delivered the food remnants, Mahaprasadam. He then informed her of the good news that Mahaprabhu had returned from his South India tour. Shunya Anandita Hoila Sachi Matarman Srivasadi Arajata Jata Bhaktagan. This good news gave much pleasure to Mother Sachi as well as to all the devotees of Navadip, headed by Srivas Thakur. Shunya Sabar Hoila Parama Ulas Advaita Charja Grihe Gela Krishnadas. Hearing of Lord Chaitanya's return to Puri, everyone became very glad. Krishnadas next went to the house of Advaitacharya. Acharya Prasad Diya Kore Namaskar. Samyak Kohila Mahaprabhur Samachar. After paying him respectful obeisances, Krishnadas offered Mahaprasadam to Advaitacharya. He then informed him of the news of Lord Chaitanya in complete detail. Shunya Charja Gosar Ananda Hoila Premaveshe Hunkara Bahunitya Gita Koila. When Advaitacharya heard of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's return, he became very pleased. In his great ecstasy of love, he began to roar and danced and chanted for a long time. Haridas Thakurer Hoila Paramananda Vasudeva Datta Gupta Murari Sena Shivananda. Also hearing this auspicious news, Haridas Thakur became very pleased. So also did Vasudeva Datta, Murari Gupta, and Shivananda Sen. Acharya Ratna Ar Pandita Barkeshwar, Acharya Nidhi Ara Pandita Gadadhar, Acharya Ratna Bakreshwara Pandit, Acharya Nidhi, and Gadadhar Pandit were all very pleased to hear this news. Shri Ram Pandidar Pandita Damodar, Shriman Pandit Ar Vigjaya Sridhar, Shriman Shri Ram Pandidara Pandita Damodar, Shriman Panditara Vijay Sridhar. Shri Ram Pandit, Damodar Pandit, Shriman Pandit, Vijay, and Sridhar were all very pleased to hear it. Raghava Panditara Charja Nandana Kateka Kahiba Ar Jata Pravargan. Raghava Pandit, the son of Advaitacharya, and all the devotees became very satisfied. How many can I describe? Shunya Sabar Hoila Paramaulas Sabe Mili Gela Shri Advaitera Pash. Everyone was very pleased, and they all gathered together at the house of Advaitacharya. Shunya Sabar Hoila Paramaulas Sabe Mili Gela Shri Advaitera Pash. Everyone was very pleased, and they all gathered together at the house of Advaitacharya. Acharya Sabe Koila Charana Bandhan, Acharya Gosai Sabare Koila Alingan. All the devotees offered respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of Advaitacharya, and in return Advaitacharya embraced them all. Dina Duitin Acharya Mahotsava Koila Nilachala Jaite Acharya Jukti Drita Koila. Advaitacharya then held a festival that lasted 2 to 3 days. Thereafter, they all made a firm decision to go to Jagannath Puri. Ebe Mili Navadipe Ekatra Haya Niladri Chalila Sachima Matar Agya Loya. All the devotees met together at Navadip and with Mother Sachi's permission departed for Niladri, Jagannath Puri. Prabhura Samachara Shuni Kolina Grambasi Satya Raj Ramananda Milila Sabyashi, the inhabitants of Kulinagram, Satya Raj Ramananda, and all the other devotees there came and joined Advaitacharya. Mukunda Narahari Raghunandana Kanda Hoite Acharjer Tai Aila Nilachala Jaite. Mukunda, Narahari, Raghunandana, and all the others came from Kanda to Advaitacharya's house to accompany him in Jagannath Puri. Ekale Dakina Hoite Paramananda Puri Ganga Tiri Tiri Aila Nariya Nagari. At that time, Paramananda Puri came from South India. Traveling along the banks of the Ganges, he ultimately reached the town of Nadia. So I'm going to stop here. Tomorrow I'll continue. Hariharaya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Marana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Garadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Garadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhakta Raghunan Rupa Sanatam Bhakta Raghunan Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunan Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunan Chai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Chai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jaite Vignana Shabishta Puran Jaite Vignana Shabishta Puran Chai Gosai Jar Muitaradas Chai Gosai Jar Muitaradas Kasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Kasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Kadir Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Kadir Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Janame Janame More Abhilas Janame Janame More Abhilas Chai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Chai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Lila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudar. Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudar. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Goranga Gandharvika Giridharaju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashta Tara Sadashishi Mad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashta Tara Sadashishi Mad Srila Bhakti Rakakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath, Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Prem Sigo, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasudeva, Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai, Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Sokel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram Ki Jai, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan, Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Mana Jo Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.